Some people think that the series finale of Game of Thrones was too sad, and others think it wasn't sad enough. Honestly, after the past 2 episodes where I sat there going, what the fuck is going on, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought they ended the series very well, and it made sense from a logical standpoint. Was it the ending we all wanted? Was it as happy as we'd like it to have been? Would it have been as bleak as we wanted it to be, with all the White Walkers somehow coming back inexplicably? No. But that depends on how optimistic or masochistic you may be. For what it's worth, I really enjoyed the series finale, and I think it wrapped it up really well on several good notes. Bran became king. Nobody saw that one coming. Bran Stark is officially changing the motto of House Stark from "Winter is coming" to "Work smart, not hard." From a logical standpoint, it made sense to have Bran Stark become the ruler of the 7, now 6 kingdoms, since the North retains autonomy. He's basically a brain trust of the entire history of Westeros and beyond. Did Bran know the whole time that he was going to be king? Or did he kind of suck it up and say, you know what, I will be king because it's going to be for the greater good, and there's at least going to be some ruler who doesn't want anything, doesn't want the power, and isn't going to be coerced into some sort of a power struggle. As good of a guy as Jon Snow is, that dude can be led easily around by the nose or the dick. Putting Bran Stark on the throne has somebody who doesn't have the physical desire to convolute his thinking as to what's best for the people in the realm. And he was also smart enough to surround himself with a pretty damn good council who, instead of going, okay, so what's our next siege? What's our next campaign? Okay, let's fix all this shit that got broken and burnt and start building up the infrastructure for all of the people here to make the world an actual better place. And that brings us to Jon Snow. Jon Snow finally nutted up. After a little talking to from Tyrion and a little talking to from Arya, he kind of realized, damn, Daenerys is fucking nuts. The cheese has slid off her cracker and nothing good is going to happen from this point forward. So after Daenerys gives a little speech to the Unsullied after everything's calmed down and they've murdered all the remaining Lannister troops, Daenerys gives this rousing speech about how she and her Unsullied and the Dothraki are going to go forward and free everybody in the 7 kingdoms. Freeing, specifically, she mentioned first, freeing the people of Winterfell and Dorne and all of these other kingdoms. Last time I fucking checked, the people of Winterfell and Dorne felt pretty damn happy. They didn't need to be freed, unless freed is codenamed for fucking fricasseed. Fuck that. So finally, Jon sat down and realized, damn, I'm gonna have to fucking take this bitch out. And he did. In the words of James Coburn in his Oscar-winning turn in the movie Affliction, you finally done it. Done it right. Done it like a man done it. I love you, you mean son of a bitch. So Jon Snow realized that he was the only person who could feasibly take out Daenerys because she sort of trusted him. And in a symbolic moment of clarity, just when you think Drogon is going to swoop in and blast Jon Snow, the dragon actually turns around, sees his dead mother of dragons, and melts the Iron Throne. Apparently the dragon's the only one who's been fucking paying attention the whole damn time, realizing that everybody is fighting and killing and dying, and innocent people are dying. The wrong people are put on the throne according to birthright, or, scrambling after this big, stupid fucking piece of metal. So Drogon turns around and melts the Iron Throne, which, in a sense, breaks the wheel. It breaks the cycle of everybody scrambling all over themselves in the pursuit of this stupid fucking throne where innocent people and good men and women and children die. So with Daenerys dead, everybody gets together with representatives from all of the 7 kingdoms to try and figure out who is going to rule. And it winds up being Bran, but only after Edmure Tully, the least qualified guy, stands up and says, no, don't worry, I got this. I'm gonna be king. No, I'll take one for the team. I think I should rule. Sit your ass down. Thankfully, that was what Sansa told him. Just sit down. Sit down. You're embarrassing yourself, Edmure. No. No. So once Bran takes the throne as Bran the Broken, which, can you give him a shittier fucking nickname? Jesus. So once Bran ascends to the throne, or what's left of the Iron Throne, and becomes ruler of the 7, now 6 kingdoms, since he granted Sansa autonomy and the North and Winterfell is its own kingdom, what follows is this montage that shows the endings for each of the characters that we've come to watch for the past 8 seasons. It was kind of like a cross between the ending to 6 Feet Under and the final installment of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. So Sansa becomes Queen of the North. Her story ends with her being, I get to be queen and I didn't even have to marry a dude to do it. So fuck yeah, good for you, Sansa. You paid your dues, you know exactly what the hell's going on, you've grown a lot from being the spoiled little fucking brat that you were in season 1, and you'll probably rule the North really well. Arya decided to go west of Westeros, which sounds like a goddamn spinoff if there ever was, and she's just had it with the bullshit. Doesn't want to deal with it, and good for her. Go on, be free, sail wherever, explore stuff. You know, it's stuff that she's always wanted to do, and she's not encumbered by having to be part of the whole political machinations of everything going on within the 7 kingdoms, regardless of where her brother or sister is ruling. Good for her. That was the ending that she wanted for herself. And I think that's important. I mean, she doesn't have to deal with Gendry making googly eyes at her. No, she doesn't want any of that bullshit. She just wants to be free. Jon Snow was punished by the council to go north and become, once again, a watcher on the wall. Now, ultimately, with the Night King and all of the White Walkers gone, there really is no need to have a bunch of watchers. And depending on how you look at Jon Snow's ending, it's either tragic or pretty damn awesome. Now, Team Sad is going to sit there and say, Jon had to lose the love of his life. Well, how good of a love of your life is that if you kind of have to worry if she's going to kill you? That's not really a mutually beneficial relationship here. This isn't a harmonious union when you wonder if, you know, she's going to Dracarys you in your sleep. So Jon Snow's ending is a punishment as he's sent back to the wall, and he winds up hanging out with the wildlings. You see him, you know, Tormund's there, Ghost is there, he pets Ghost, and, you know, he's reunited with all his rowdy friends, the wildlings. It's a pretty sweet deal. And in a way, it's probably the best damn ending that he could possibly have, because you know Jon would be miserable being on the throne. Tormund said to him, you've got the true North in you, which means you're probably a lot more closer to being with the wildlings and just enjoying a much freer life, kind of like Arya, because those two were pretty damn tight. Then you have the council. Tyrion becomes head of this council, hand of the king to Bran the Broken, and I'm hoping he gets to whore it up and booze it up and make good decisions, because he'll actually have people surrounding him that are also pretty well versed in their specific disciplines, and you don't have a complete psychopath on the throne. And they show Brienne, and you know, she's living life. She's part of this council. She's valued for who she is as a warrior and a skilled swordswoman. One part that I was like, man, fuck you. But at the same time, sat there and said, you know, damn, this is why Brienne of Tarth is probably, apart from Ned Stark, the noblest person in all the 7 kingdoms, because she sits down and starts writing Jaime Lannister's story in the history book, painting this fuckboy as a noble man. And that was where I drew the line. I was like, oh, come on. Brienne has to write this asshole's history, the guy who friggin' ghosted her? Bullshit. Should have written there that, you know, he's a fuckboy and couldn't finger blast with his golden hand. So get the hell out of here. But I like that they showed her as probably one of the most noble people in all of Westeros, and it's good to see her as a valued member of the council. So there you have it, the ending of Game of Thrones. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a ham-fisted attempt at trying to cram everything in. It did feel rushed. Ultimately, it turned out well. The ending was satisfying, even though some people are going to think it was too sad and some people are going to think it wasn't, you know, tragic enough. One thing that you have to keep in mind is that even though there were very few on-screen deaths in this episode, cumulatively, there was a huge body count that was racked up over the past 8 years. Every single one of the surviving characters had lost somebody that they loved dearly throughout the course of the series. And even though you didn't see those deaths immediately on screen, and somebody else didn't die, or this one didn't die, or blah, 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 too many people were left alive, the people that are still living still bear the emotional scars of having lost all of those other people. And yeah, that takes its toll on you. It impacts the decisions you make, for better or worse. So was it the ending that we all wanted? I'm sure, a lot of people wanted to see Jon Snow on the Iron Throne, or Arya, or Sansa, or some people wanted to see Daenerys. But it's how it shook out, and in a lot of ways, that's real life. The most glamorous choice to rule isn't always the best choice, because usually a lot of times that glamorous choice has a huge cult of personality behind them, and isn't going to act in the best interests of the people. It's all show and no go. And similarly, the best person to rule probably doesn't even want to be on the throne. So in some ways, if you wanted to see your favorite character wind up on the throne, or at least ruling, you were disappointed. It was the low-key quiet guy who's probably going to do the best job because he's a font of knowledge and surrounded himself with a bunch of other smart people. On the flip side, it didn't have this terribly happy ending where you have all the Stark kids gathered at Winterfell, drinking eggnog, having, little parties. All the dire wolves had more puppies, and everybody breaks out into song. Because that's not realistic either. I think they did a great job wrapping this up. There were a lot of storylines that had to be condensed. Honestly, I wish they stretched it out for another 2 seasons. I think some of the quick turn of Dany going from 50% crazy to being completely 100% batshit probably could have played out better if it was given 2 seasons to make that gradual metamorphosis. But this was what we got. The saving grace is always the actors. The actors were great in this, even when there was very little dialogue to be had. So mad props to all of the actors on this show. So the way that Game of Thrones ended, it wasn't really happy and it wasn't really sad. And that's pretty much how life works. You have good moments, you have bad moments. You're going to have your life colored by things that have happened in your past. And in some cases, you can move past them and change. And in some cases, you can't. And sometimes that choice is as simple as you deciding that you change it. And other times it's not so simple because there are other outside factors and there's other people that you're not expecting to play a role in how you change or don't change. So I think it was realistic. And that was the ending that I hoped for. Something that at least felt real. Something that wasn't deliriously happy and wasn't just completely sad and upsetting. That was like, why the fuck did I watch this after 8 seasons? It was real. And the ending and the way it played out felt true to the characters even though it was rushed. So thank you again for tuning in and watching a lot of these Game of Thrones Season 8 recaps. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to recap some shows in addition to some of the other crazy content that I'm going to try and throw out here on my channel too. But thank you for watching and bearing with my ramblings and angry, pissed off rants and glowing reviews at times. So, hey, we're all in it together. Thank you again for watching, and if you have any comments or thoughts on the series finale of Game of Thrones, I'd love to hear from you, and just drop those in the comments below. And if you have any other ideas as to shows that you might like me to review or any other topics that you want me to talk about, let me know. Happy to hear that. But thank you again, and have a great one. Hope to see you soon. Take care.